Harper's Ferry National Historic Park, Mr. John King. Here, here. The actual historical results we're going to announce, so we're sort of breaking away from 1860 to reality right now. And the person to do that is the person that actually put this all together, the overall coordinator who's responsible for all this. So Catherine Bergaw. Here, here.
Before I share the actual results from the election with you, I would like to take a few moments to thank everyone for an absolutely wonderful day. I'd like to thank the staff and volunteers for their dedication to public service, and I would like to thank all the hundreds of folks who came and shared this day with us. In 1860, the fate of the Republic hung in the balance. District 10, Precinct 8, Harper's Ferry. John Bell, 167 votes. John Breckenridge, 73 votes. And the winner was Stephen Douglas, with 203 votes. The County of Jefferson and the state of Virginia would go for John Bell. But the nation would elect with less than 40% of the popular vote the rail splitter from Illinois, the Republican Abraham Lincoln.
Here, here.
We all know what would happen following that election. December 20th, South Carolina will tear her star from the flag. By February in Montgomery, Alabama, the Confederacy of America is formed. By the time the snow melts in April, Fort Sumter is fired upon. And in less than a week after that, just down this block, retreating United States troops will attempt to torch the United States Armory and Arsenal in the face of advancing Virginia militia. And for the first time, this little Virginia town will taste what this war is soon to bring her. In June of '61, Abraham Lincoln will make the statement that the fate of the United States will pose a question to the family of humanity. Can a free nation, a constitutional republic, maintain its existence? We all know that the war will answer that question, that as American Republic we could. But it will mean that 3 million men will have to march off to war, north and south, and over 620,000 will never come home so that we can maintain this nation. It will bring freedom to the 4.5 million African Americans then held in slavery.
Yay.
The poet Walt Whitman will say that the real war, you can never read it in books. And people have wondered, well, what did Walt Whitman really mean by that? And some have supposed that what he meant is that the John Brown attacked this place, she dressed her little 5-year-old Georgie up in a Marine uniform so he could pretend to kill John Brown raiders. She raised local funds for the militia. After the war, her family moves to Carolina. Town Constable George Coombs doesn't go off to fight the war. After the war, he becomes a Republican and he goes to the state Senate. But many of his enemies will say that he made a big profit off the war by selling to the rebels. And they will consider his allegiance to be in question. John Olstad, prisoner of John Brown. His father's a pig farmer, and they raise some of the fattest hogs in Jefferson County. He goes off to fight the war, but 2 months later, we're not sure why, maybe he just doesn't have the stomach for the fight, he deserts. He lives, maybe because he deserts, till 1923. Is the longest survivor in age of the John Brown raid. Armory worker Wilson. When war comes to this place, he will decide to go and work in the armory at Springfield. But after the war, he does come home. German immigrant Frederick Roeder. He sold beer and he made sweets, known for his cake baking. He's sympathetic to the Republican Party. He is a recent widower when war comes. He has 6 children, ages 17 to age 2. On July 4th of 1861, Frederick Roeder understands that the Stars and Stripes fly on the Maryland side, and so he goes for a stroll to see Old Glory at least one more time. About that same time, a Union soldier out of Pennsylvania, celebrating the 4th as well, decides that he wants to take a shot into Virginia and kill one of those rebels. That bullet ricochets off the hotel and hits Roeder in the stomach. He will be able to make it back home. He is the first civilian casualty of the war here at Harper's Ferry. Sarah Gilbert. Her husband, Isaac, is able to raise enough money to buy her freedom. Because he himself is a slave, he cannot purchase their freedom. And so he goes to Mayor Fontaine Beckham, and he asks to buy for Beckham to buy Sarah and the 3 children, which Beckham agrees to do. And Gilbert says to him, then when I have enough money to buy my own freedom, there is an agreement that the papers will be passed to him. In 1859, on October, when John Brown arrives here and takes this town, one of the casualties is Fontaine Beckham. Just prior to the raid, Beckham has registered his will. And in fact, if you go to the books, even today in Jefferson County, the will of John Brown and the will of Fontaine Beckham flows on each other. And in this will, Fontaine Beckham says, upon my death, Sarah and the 3 children will be free. his freedom. After the war, their family has been joined together in a little yellow house just up the hill here. The children are attending school. Indeed, a new nation has arrived.